can't have breakthrough without first going through your brokenness. Sometimes the greatest battles will lead to the sweetest victories. So pick up your mat and walk. You've been called for greatness. We all have a story to tell. Many of us don't realize this until we're asked to tell it. We live in this society where everyone puts this mask on in order to cover up the brokenness and the fear and the pain. We all want the world to perceive us at our best, even when we might be going through our worst. That's why I believe it's so important that we tell our stories. Our stories connect us on a far deeper level than most of us even realize. They bring any darkness to the light, and they help give us strength for that fight that we might be facing. So we're standing in this old building, downtown Columbia. There's so much historic significance in this building. This is where the old black news media was. They operated here for many, many years. Mind you, we're in the heart of the South, right? This is where the roots run deep. It's a place of brokenness, of slavery, of hatred, and there was so much struggle that went through the generations here. So the Waverly District, which is the historical preservation district that we're living in, is an old subdivision of an antebellum plantation. Early in the 20th century, this involved from a community of African American artisans, social reformers, and professionals. And much of the work in those times play a significant role in the political advancement of blacks around South Carolina. So I just encourage you, no matter where you stand, believe in yourself. You have an appetite to become extraordinary if you learn to listen to that still small inner voice. Everything is possible to those who believe. If you can suffer through the setbacks, you can overcome any obstacle. Now this is your time to shine, and you can do anything that you set your mind to. Stand up and believe it. Pain is necessary and it's a part of your growth. So dive deep today. Get prepared for battle, because every lesson that you learn is turning something into that greatness and something that is phenomenal. Remember that God has given you a calling, so ignite that inner flame and show life what you're truly capable of achieving. It doesn't matter who you are, where you've been, all that really matters is where you're headed in the future. So get that vision clear in your mind and step out in full faith. Dig into the depths of your heart, into that inner being, and stop letting life beat you down. You've been called with and for a purpose. Get out there. This is our story.
Building on the analogy, focusing on the similarities between a project of this type, renovating for new life versus the old, in comparison to my life, it's like the same process. Same process as what we have here. These walls at one time held the Black News office, functional, thriving business in this community for the better part of, 57. I found newspapers that were like 75 years old in here as we were cleaning it out, getting rid of the cabinets and shelves that were stashed in the back, some hidden junk in the closet that we had to get rid of in order to get everything exposed to create the platform for the new building to take place. Part of what is so revolutionary or so symbolic is that not only did we have to tear out all the old finishing and everything off the walls, remove some walls that weren't structurally sound entirely, and just junk it in order to be able to start over. But we can see here, part of the repair process we're gonna have to do is there was a fire in here. Probably the catalyst for this property becoming unavailable to receive this transformation of new life was a fire that happened in here that compromised the integrity of the functionality of this building. The air wasn't breathable because of the smoke damage. There's an active leak in here. You can see where some futile attempts were made. There's some new wood in here. Somebody tried to patch it up a little bit, keep it moving, reinforce the joists that were burnt and had some structural some structural integrity compromised. But in the big picture, these little patches, just like in life, for me it was drugs, work, addiction, gambling, porn, whatever someone can go through, whatever someone can use to try to just get them to the next paycheck or the next cycle in their life. Or if I just get this new car, new house, I'll be happy. All this materialistic crap or whatever type of crap that we strive for that doesn't give us peace was like this futile attempt to let's just get past the fire. But the fire pushed it over the edge. It was no longer avoidable, had to be addressed.
You got to go through the fire in order to strip out those impurities and to bring those weaknesses to light, right? Just like our life is forged through the fire, just like fine metal going through the fire to bring up the dross, right? To strip out those impurities. I look at the significance behind that with our very stories, right? Each and every one of us is broken at some type of level. It might be drugs, it might be addiction, it might just be a broken relationship or a marriage, right? Whatever that core issue is, a lot of us don't stand up in the middle of that struggle because we're afraid of what the world, what society is gonna tell us, right? But part of the reason for this documentary and this process is to reveal those things and bring that into new light, right? Because only when we bring things to the light can we drown out that darkness, right? Only by exposing ourselves not only to God, but our community, can we have a leg to stand on that's gonna help us to push forward in that future. So this project is gonna be a massive overhaul over the past couple months, and our goal is just to revitalize this thing, to get it in fully operational condition, and we can actually move in here and have it as our operating headquarters for our real estate business. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're gonna have a short little dialogue just talking about the brokenness of our pasts and talking about how that's revealed and how God has changed our narrative and changed our story through those very struggles. Let's take a seat. Content game strong. Jackie Chan in the street.
You've been kicking it. You've been kicking it, baby.
That's good stuff. We just wanted to open it up, guys, and just have an open conversation, because I feel that our lives are formed around the value of the conversations that we have and the quality of the questions that we ask, right? It's not that successful people have any less problems than you and I. They just ask better questions and as a result find better answers. So we're gonna tie in some of our backstories and the transformation that we experienced, bringing us to this place today, and kind of talk about the significance metaphorically with this old building and how we're gonna bring that back to life as well. So with that being said, let's take a quick dive into your story, man. What led you here today?
Oh, today, particularly this building, 1310 Harding, but the path of being here compared to August 25th, 2014 has been a long journey. I found myself at that point in my life entangled in an addiction that was kicked off, really crossed over from being a recreational functioning party clown, whatever you want to call it. You know, I had a house, I had jet skis, four-wheelers, cars, all the things that by the standard that I thought were making me complete and indicating that I was of good character and successful, and inside just totally broken. So when I found myself with the ability to have my own pocket full of candy, my little medicine there on hand to dive into full time, it went from a recreational, consistent recreational to daily, all day long, hiding. And that took me to where I got real with myself that I wasn't going to make it. I was going to be in jail, or I was going to be dead, and I didn't want that. I was watching it happen all around me, left and right. People I hung out with, considered my friends. It was the only common factor in the time, and so I left where I'm originally from, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I went and I checked myself into a place called Home with the Heart in Liberty, South Carolina. Up to that point, I had tried thousands of times on my own strength. Like, it's not going to happen again. You know, it was just a bad weekend, or I messed up. But the reality was that it was I was in the grip of the addiction. I had no control.
Y'all ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
So ultimately, surrender to win. In order to have a chance at the life that God had a plan for me to have, I had to surrender the one that I created for myself. And in doing that, I had to take, as one of my mentors says, I had to take the cotton out of my ears and put it in my mouth and shut up and listen. Then I had the opportunity to hear the lessons of those that were sharing how God had changed their lives and changed their heart. And in the process, that's what happened for me. I surrendered to win. Surrendered my pride, went and left everything that I had to just focus on how can I change myself from the inside out? How can I get rid of all this perspective, beliefs, values that were warped, twisted, and perverted, and know something that was true and healthy? So I did the process. I did the treatment program, faith-based treatment program, went to a halfway house. I didn't want to get it. It took a year. It took a year. By the time I did the 90 days and the 8 months, and then found myself a year later with a job that sucked in the sense of pay and scope of work, but I was thankful to have it and thankful to start cleaning up the mess that was part of my life. And so I had joy and peace in that, and knowing that the best was to come and the worst was behind me, and just kept on putting one foot in front of the other. Really, the way God changed my life and continues to is I can get in the Word every morning. I'm not consistent with everything. I've gone through phases where I work out a year or two straight, get in great shape, then slack off and different behaviors, but getting in the Word every morning and journaling, non-negotiable for me. It's the only thing I got going for me. It's the only thing, it's the way God's kept me hooked on that barb, so to say, that I keep being obedient and staying and learning and shut up and listen to when He wants to, when I give the opportunity to hear what's moving. So that all being said, reminds me a lot of this building, my life in that time. We filled a 30-yard container with the crap that was in here and still had to make 2 runs with the truck and the trailer to the dump afterwards.
This place was a mess.
It's a mess, and it looks cleaned out now, but guess what? In the corner, there's a door. Somehow, some old junky door got left behind. Still, under microscopic supervision, me and T-Bone, we missed a door. We're still in here, shop vacuuming out the corners. You know, we took out this suspended ceiling, which looks at first like, that's what? I thought the suspended ceiling was, 50% of the job, right? Like, that's the biggest single item. Well, guess what? When I quit putting the needle in my arm, I still had a lot more work to do. We got this suspended ceiling out of here. Now we got crap all over the floor to clean up. And then we realized, now that's gone. Look at all the wires and crap and trash and the screws that held it in and all the crap, the insulation and everything else that came down. So the process was not as cut and dry as it looks with this building, just like our lives are.
In order to make room for the new, you have to be able to uncover and rip out the old, right? You can't build a building on an unstable foundation. You got to be able to get rid of all that mess, all that yuck, twisted thinking, as you said, and just clear your mind, renew your mind every morning. Open up the Word, start to fill your brain with positive thoughts, positive insights. That way you're not grasping onto those perverted ways of thinking. Our lives are shaped upon the value of our beliefs, right? Our internal beliefs manifest themselves through our life each and every day. And the power that we have behind those beliefs and the words that we speak, we have the power to speak life and death, right? We have the power to transform lives and generations just by the way that we talk to one another.
And ourselves.
Yeah, it starts with yourself.
That's right.
It starts from within.
What does it say? Everything that comes out of your mouth is
reflection of your heart.
Of your heart.
Yep.
Right.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It is. So if the heart holds death, all that's coming out is the same.
So much significance, but we just look at these bare bones now, and what might seem like brokenness to somebody is actually a new beginning for someone else, right? We got Tony over here who met Jason just randomly on the street one day, and he thought this guy was out of his mind. Jason came up and wanted to pray for him, right?
He asked me to pray for me. He asked me to pray for me.
How'd it go down, bro?
How'd it go down? I got hit by a pickup truck. I got hit, and I was working, living in a hotel actually, and I was doing asphalt work, and I was walking across the street. My boss took me to court one day, and I decided to drink some beers, until he got back to pick me up. I drank a little more than some. I drank a lot, and anyway, I got hit, and I cheated death. God saved me that time, and next thing I know, my mother was in the hospital. At the same time I was in the hospital, she died of cancer, and my brother, he ended up getting the house. Me and him definitely didn't get along. So for the first time, I had nobody to fall back on. My father had died a year before that. So they pushed me out of the hospital. I got broken leg, broken arm, got some pins in this arm, and I ended up where I met Jason at the Gospel. And I'm limping around, and I knew nobody else the first time. I really had nobody to depend on. I couldn't call mom, couldn't do nothing. My boss, he didn't need me for work. I was hurt, and I mean, until my mother got buried, he gave me the $200 for those 2 weeks, you know, because we were close, and actually, you know, he took me there. And so I was at a real, that was the down, like, I thought it was like the end. And long story short, I started healing. God, you know, he's always there to pick you up, you know, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to work with you guys on this project, because, you know, it's like you gotta get torn down to rebuild, you know, and that was a tearing down point for me. You know, I started healing, and you know, I had met Jay, a good guy, and all this, and I thought I had it. You know, I did 8 months in that program. I got a settlement at the end of the 8 months, and God did some more tearing down because I wasn't ready. So I ain't gonna say how much I got, but I got more than most people make in 2 years. And I came out of the program, and with that money, and got tore down again. Ended up on the street worse than I was, you know, worse than I was. And next thing I know, I'm running down downtown Columbia with 5 people with machetes chasing me because I got into altercation with one of their friends, and I was just like, you know what, God, I need you to save me. I need help. I fell asleep in the graveyard. Called Jason. It's funny how God puts people in your life. Called Jason. I'm like, Jay, I need help, man. I need to get out of here. He comes and picks me up in the library, and took me home with the heart, and did that program, and I haven't done anything. I've been clean since then. Now, and even when you get sober, you know, there's still demons that you got to face, you know, within you. You know, it's not over. You know, there's a fight every day, and you know, he's working. He's blessing me, even though I don't have that money I had lost and all that. I got a relationship with my kids, which means everything to me. You know what I'm saying? It's good to hear him pick up the phone and say, "I love you, Dad." You know, things like that. You know, and I'm just grateful to be here. And God is good, man. That's all I have to say. And thank you guys for the opportunity to work. And
I love it, man. I love it.
Thank God for you.
It's so awesome how, you know, God will take those strengths that once seemed like weaknesses, you know, like your insecurities, your impurities, your shortcomings and struggles, he will actually use and put them up, convert them into your strengths so that you can use them for his good. Because if we did it all on our own accord, we'd become prideful, you know, and feel like got it all together, top of the world, right? Like Jason said, with stacks of money in your pocket. But sometimes you need to hit rock bottom in order to grasp for air and look up and realize how much opportunity you have right there in front of you.
It's just amazing to look at these things that were like the fire here and the mess. Once we tore that out, we got to see more of what needed to be done more. Now we're in a place where we found walls that weren't even stable, that we couldn't reuse. So now we can develop, now we can see a plan come together.
So from a scope of work perspective, what do you see being the next steps pushing this project forward? You know, like lining it up, getting a sketch, architectural sketch, and a strategic plan together. What does that look like?
So what it looks like now is, what we call it in the engineering world is an as-built. And that's where we take measurements of what we have to be able to determine exactly what we have as it is built. So we can see now behind these walls, we see exactly here that we got the, it's like 14 or 16 inch, that's probably a 16-inch I-beam here. It's going to go about 25 foot to a 4-inch diameter tube steel column, and then off of that, going to the reinforced masonry wall. There's an 8-inch I-beam. So now we can generate the as-built. From the as-built, that's our. Now we're at the start line. Now we know exactly where we're at, so we can add, build on. So we'll take this as-built. It won't be a separate drawing. No one's gonna, only in certain projects where you have an as-built, like when you're doing an addition or renovation. But in this case, we'll create that, and then we'll incorporate the new vision. As your architect, you know, the architect's main job is he listens, he takes your idea, and he turns it into black lines on white paper. From there, he hires all the different engineering disciplines, and they're really, I'm a little biased coming from an engineering background, but they're the ones that do the work. He's just the front guy. He's the one that gets the money and does all the talking. but he really don't, he cast the vision. So that's where we're at now. We're going to cast a vision into a documented format from knowing where we're at. And that's going to let us know where we're going. And that step will then lead into the guts. Okay, well, if we need to have a sink here, or a toilet here, or a urinal there, or this room's going to be separate and it's going to need to be air conditioned, then the duct system's got to run into there as well. So we'll have the plan finalized at that point of the sequence that the construction will start. In this particular case, we're going to finish the plan while we're waiting for our exterior encapsulation, which is going to be a modification to the front of the building and putting a new roof on it, replacing these members that have some damage from the fire. And then from there, we're going to revert directly back to the vision, to the drawing, the layout that's created, and then we'll start constructing up new walls. We'll get the different disciplines rolling, whether it's HVAC, electrical, and plumbing, and then we'll build around the guts that get modified and finish it out with new walls, doors, halls, paint, sheetrock, flooring, trim, and beautify it up, and then have a new storefront on here. And this thing will almost look, with the exception that it literally will have the same numbers in a different font or color on the building. Everything will be different. Won't be recognizable to someone that worked at Black News in 1942, but it'll be right here in 2020 for a brand new look to the downtown Columbia area in the beginning of cash property offers. So I'm super.
It's incredible. I'm stoked too.
I can't wait to sit here 90 days and see where we're at.
Straight up. And it just shows you, I mean, vision, the power of your vision. Vision will take you places that others cannot see, right? It's your ability to look into the future and to take those beliefs inside of your mind, take those thoughts and manifest them in some type of outward expression, right? And to think about, where we've come from, right? I spent 5 years in prison. Long story short, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because that's where God got a hold of my heart and transformed everything, That became the foundation. But if you told me 5 years ago when I first stepped out of those prison doors that I'd be where I am today, I would tell you, you're absolutely crazy, right? And here we are coming together as a whole, right? As brothers, and meshing those visions, taking the realities that we see in the future and what we want to create with our lives and in our stories. And we're coming together, collaborating on this massive project. We'll have a place of business literally a block away from the tax office, which from a strategic perspective, as a real estate investment firm, we're just trying to find fixer-upper homes, right? Distressed properties. And every homeowner's got to pay their property taxes at some point in any given year, right? So the street exposure that we have here with the billboard on site, I see it as a double-edged sword. One, it's building that market authority for us here in Columbia, but eventually, just from the calls we'll get from that billboard, we'll pay for the acquisition of this office, right? And it'll give our team an environment where we can come together as like a unit, where we can have a cohesive team work environment, shooting ideas with one another. And that's what synergy is. Synergy is taking the skills of everyone else and bringing them together to reach a common goal, right? That's what team is. And like I say, business is a team sport. Life is a team sport. Like, we need to build people inside of our inner circle that support our beliefs, that support our vision, and are going to help us to move forward in that common goal.
And just like, I know we touched earlier on the concept of magnetism, the attraction, the pull there. So I think with this location, with that synergy, I play better basketball when I'm on a basketball team with people that are good, because if I'm expected to be the best player,
sure, right.
we're gonna get some points, but we ain't gonna win.
You play to the level of your surroundings, right? Your
Exactly.
network. That's why they say that you're a direct reflection of the top 5 people you spend the most time with.
That's right. That's why I only hang out with 2 people.
Well, that's why I'm happy to be doing this, helping you guys with this project, you know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
There's a lot to learn from this, and I want to see how it turns out.
Man,
It's huge.
The best is yet to come for all of us.
Yeah, man. Fast forward this couple months, we'll have a fully built podcast studio. We'll have a creative space in this environment where we can help bring these dreams to life. And that's what life's all about, man. It's just stepping out in full transparency, taking off that mask, not feeling like you got to hide behind the person that you want to project, but stepping out in faith and knowing that your story is there to help impact generations, right? Because God has called each and every one of us with and for a purpose. So I encourage you guys, no matter where you're at, just step out in that power, because like I said, you have everything that you need right there in front of you.
That's right.
And once you realize that power, anything is possible. Anything is possible.
If you don't know what stepping out looks like for you, then just listen. Just be quiet and listen, and God will speak it to you in the form of a person, an event, or your own voice, a thought, meditation. But if you can't answer that question, what's the next step? Just listen. The next step's listening. Hello.
That's it. I mean, faith is just believing in the invisible. It really is, man. Like, your environment, your current situation is a direct reflection of the way that you think, the way that you choose to think, right? Every single choice that you make has some type of eternal impact on your life. And so you start to become very careful what you allow yourself to think about on a consistent basis, because you know that what you're cultivating inside of your mind is actually taking root, right? And those seeds are going to start to sprout up and give new life, right? But if you're surrounding yourself with those negative influences, that new life could actually turn the opposite and start to grow roots of darkness and envy and greed, and just get all twisted and demented inside of your head, right? Like, that is the power that you have inside of yourself, inside of your mind. That's why it is so crucial, like Jason was saying, just equip yourself. Put on the armor of God. Wake up every single morning knowing that it's a new day. You know, knowing that you were born to create, and that God gives you that power within yourself if you continue to seek Him every single day.
That's right. We're in some battle. We're going into, coming out of, or in a battle at all times. And if I can't identify which one it is, I'm about to get blindsided or steamrolled, or the one that I'm in, I'm losing, and I don't even know it yet. They hadn't chopped me to the point yet where I can't ignore the blood loss, so to say. So if you don't see it coming, if you don't know which one you're in, but all the symptoms of your spirit, of your feelings, of your mental, emotional health are indicating something's wrong, you need to listen, get equipped.
So how does one listen? You know, some people might not have the ability to think that they know how to hear that inner voice. So what does that look like for you?
So listening for me comes in so many forms. So I'd have to say, since step one, physically, or literally first step for me was to physically stop talking. For I could listen, I used to challenge myself. Step one for me listening was to listen. Physically listen by not talking and not thinking when someone else was talking, but listen. And I started taking notes. I still have my notes from Home with the Heart. Yeah. My daily nuggets, and just the notes. Like, I can go through there and I can tell you which church, which person spoke on which day during the AM and the PM. I got them all because I would just start to listen. I started taking notes, and I didn't take notes because I wanted to be like, oh, it's a studious student, as much as like, what did I do with the notes? I read the notes. Read the notes. Like, I see all these people taking notes on their phone. Yeah? I don't ever see anybody opening notes.
Never opening notes.
I'll talk to them. I have conversations with them about those same notes. Because what I'm doing, my Sunday, when I'm taking notes for the week, I'm every morning, in addition to spending time in the Word and journaling, I'm reviewing my notes. So when I have a conversation with one of my friends, someone I was talking to, I'll go to some of these small group meetings and discuss, oh, that was in the notes? I don't even remember that. Every single bullet item sometimes, every single one that spoke to me and was most impactful were the only things I wrote down. No one else even remembered happening. But I bet if I checked their phone, they'd have one or more of those in their notes that they don't read.
That's huge.
So looking like you're doing the thing, I'm getting a little off here. I know we're talking about listening. I'm going to double back to it. But read your notes, take notes, read the notes. For me, is what listening looks like.
But I mean,
getting into my thoughts. I make time to think about the things that catch my attention. So this evening, when this wraps up here, we're going to go our separate ways. You're going to go on to your next project, or he's going to go on to his. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to be doing I got to do some proposal and some billing and some things. While I'm doing that, part of me will reflect on this conversation. So just my own thoughts, not being about like, oh, that girl texted me. Oh, she fine. I remember what she was wearing the other day, or I really like that new Tundra. You know, I got the Tacoma, but I like the new Tundra. You know, or any of these things that can distract me. I'm just going to take the time. Now I'm trained in the sense that like and I'm not saying these other things don't enter my mind, but the things that I give attention to.
Take those thoughts captive.
Yeah, I just hold on to those and reverberate like how much I appreciated it. Well, why did I appreciate it? Well, I appreciate it because the start of your story started 5 years ago. Yeah.
So what does this look like moving forward?
Looks like about $75,000 in 4 months.
Straight up. Yep. Nothing more needs to be said there. It's going to be a complete overhaul. We know what we're up against.
It looks like the best is yet to come. The future is here now. Now that we got all the old out, the new's got room. There's room for the vision for that seed to start to grow and not be choked out by any other distractions or interactions from what was lingering in here. So going forward now, we're going to see what the vision is with the cash property offers and this space in the form of what will be a podcast, a bathroom, a break room, an office space, a reception area. And once that starts to come together, then we have a platform to build on. Then we really make moves.
I love it. So here's to the next chapter, guys. Stay tuned for the renovation stages.
Permissible as current pine. It's a lot stronger, so they weren't working too well. So we're gonna attach this to the structure, make it permanent, so it's not a hazard going forward. And then when we come through and really build it up, we'll put it in there permanently. So and then at that point, our initial phase 1 of the clean out and removal is done, and we go into the schematics of the planning and the next phases. We're going to patch up the remaining damage that we can now fully assess and see. That's a big part of this too. We didn't know exactly how much needed to be removed and replaced to be structurally sound going forward. Now we know, and we're going to do it. So just like any transformation requiring heat, one of the cool fun fact with metal, steel, and iron, as the temperature rises at 1378 degrees is when it becomes molten, when it transforms physically from a solid into a liquid state where it can be remolded. From there you can make the shapes of structural beams and flanges or plates and screws or whatever you want to make out of it. And a little bit more heat though, there's another characteristic that starts to change besides shape and form, and that's the inner qualities, the intangible. Metal, it's magnetic. It's the structure of it, but the heat at 1418 degrees, which is only like 40, not even 50 degrees more, so marginally in the process, it's not a lot of extra heat. We're talking extreme temperatures. So the difference between the extreme heat it takes to change shape versus the extra little heat needed in addition to that literally changes the molecular structure so that the characteristics and the properties of that material temporarily transform. And the magnetism's gone at that point, but as it cools back down, there's so many more ways to analyze and evaluate the process of slow cooling, fast cooling, that can recreate different micro characteristics in the metals that give it all types of intrinsic structural, flexible, hardness characteristics. So it's this process of the heat rising and then how long it takes to cool off that we can control the differences in the degrees of grade of steel and other metallurgic materials to get the desired outcome. So the heat is necessary, even though it's going to burn and it's going to take a lot of energy.
You too, man.
All the papers, y'all already put them on already?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
That heat burns and it takes a lot of energy to get there, but it is invaluable in what can be created afterwards.